Hello dear students, I am Dr. Shikha Pandey, Associate Professor from Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. So today I will discuss about the topic that is e-waste, means electronic waste. So before in the lecture series of this solid waste subject, I have discussed about the municipal solid waste, hazardous waste. So e-waste is some waste that will be different from the municipal solid waste and hazardous waste, because what happened, the treatment methods, handling and management, all those things that is related with the e-waste is different with the normal municipal solid waste and hazardous waste. So let's discuss about this e-waste. What is this e-waste and why it is called as e-waste and electronic waste? So electronic waste, it means those waste which will be like some old electrical and electronic equipments are there and that have reached to its end of their life. Means the waste, the things we are using, the electronics items, all these computers, TVs, CD, whatever it is. So these all items are there and they are electronic, these equipments that have reached, that will present up to a point where they have to end their life also. So India is like this e-waste is a new type of waste. This type of waste which is now generating very fast, and it is growing waste stream in the country. This type of waste is the fastest growing waste stream in the country, and this e-waste contains some numerous toxic substances. Toxic chemicals are there in this e-waste. That's why its proper management and handling is very much important. So if it will be not disposed in an appropriate manner, it can causes the environmental pollution and some health hazards. So e-waste will contain some many toxic substances that will be like contain some toxic chemical will be there. So this toxic chemical, if we will not dispose in a proper amount or in an appropriate manner, it will be causing some environmental pollution and it is related with the health hazards also. That's why this e-waste is very much dangerous waste, and its proper management and handling is required, because it will contain lots of toxic chemicals, and that toxic chemical will is just related with the human health, and it is going to infect the human health if we will not treat it properly. Because nowadays this e-waste is very much growing, very much increasing, because we are totally dependent on technology, because we are because of this boom in this technology world. Lots of computers, desktop, this monitor, these printers are getting waste, and daily we are getting many mobile phones are there that are also getting waste, because every year mobile some updates will come. So in this way we can say that many e-waste will be there, and its management in handling is very important, because it will consist of many toxic chemicals, many toxic substances. So these are going to infect a person, and if we will not manage it is in a proper way, it sometimes it will contain some hazardous materials also. So electronic waste is all the waste which is discarded electronic or electrical equipments and some devices, and used electronics that are intended for reuse, salvage, resale, disposal, or sometimes recycling are also called as e-waste. So what we will how to deal with this electronic waste, and what are the different methods in which we can deal with this e-waste is like, we can do some reuse, some salvage, or sometimes resale also, disposal, and then recycling. So all these are mixed with the this e-waste. For e-waste, what it is possible? It is possible to do sometimes resale, sometimes reuse will be there, sometimes resale will be there. And here are some of the example of e-waste. You can see that the example we will do for the e-waste is like computers, television, VCR, some stereos are there, copies, and fax machines. So these are the e-waste example, because daily many computers are getting waste, and with the technological advancements, so we need to update at every time. So this computer, then television, VCRs, stereos are there, copier, fax machines, all are getting waste, and because of these things, this e-waste is also increasing too much. So what it is suggested that we can reuse this parts in different systems, in different computers. In this way, reuse can be practiced. Otherwise, what to do with this waste, with the e-waste? Because these e-waste will contain many toxic chemicals. So resale will be possible. Sometimes reuse will be possible. Sometimes recycle will be possible with this e-waste. So next is like we will discuss about its composition. So for when we talk about the composition, so mainly what happened, cathode ray tubes are there that will be found in television, like CRT televisions are there now. Now it has been updated to the plasma television, plasma TV. So this CRT tubes are that is found in televisions and computers. It contains lead, mercury, cadmium, beryllium, and brominated flame retards. So you can see that these CRT tubes, cathode ray tubes, which is present in the television, it will contains very dangerous chemicals, toxic metals like lead, mercury, cadmium, beryllium, and brominated flame retardants. Just like that, a mobile phone or a smartphone will contain more than 50 different components, including base metal and special metals and precious metals. So, when we talk about the full composition of the mobile phone or a smartphone, it will have three type of metal. First is the base metal, then special metal, and then precious metal. So for base metal, normal metals are there, that is copper and tin. Copper and tin has been used. So and then special metal. So for a special metal like cobalt, indium, and antimony will be there. Next is the precious metal. So in precious metal, some silver, gold, and palladium will be there. Same like in the case of lithium ion battery, this will contain 355 gram of cobalt. Iron and steel will constitute about 50% of the waste. This is then again followed by 21% of plastic, non-ferrous metals, and other some constituents. Non-ferrous metals consist of metal like copper, aluminium, and precious metals like silver, gold, aluminium, palladium, and like that. So these are the composition of e-waste. You can see that this e-waste will having very dangerous chemicals are there in the e-waste, like some lead, mercury, cadmium, beryllium. Like that's for a mobile phone. 50 components are there. In this, very toxic metals are there like cobalt, indium, antimony, precious metals. Same for in case of lithium ion battery, it will contain 3.5 gram of cobalt. Like in iron and steel will constitute about 50% of waste, followed by plastics and non-ferrous metal and other constituents. So in case of non-ferrous metals, it will consist of metal like copper, aluminium, and some precious metals like silver, gold, platinum, and palladium. So this is like a composition of e-waste. And next we will discuss about the characteristics of electronics waste. So lead and cadmium is present in the circuit boards and batteries. In the circuit boards and battery, lead and cadmium is there. Next is the lead oxide like PbO2. Lead oxide is there in the cadmium in monitor and cathode ray tubes. Same in case of mercury in switches and flat screen board. Mercury is found in the switch and flat screen monitor. PCB in old capacitors and transformer. You can see that all toxic metals are there. Toxic metal and toxic chemicals are there. PCB is again a dangerous chemical. It will be found in the old capacitor and some transformers. Brominated flame retardants on printed circuit boards. Burning of plastic casing, cables, and PVC cables used for insulation that are causing heavy damage to the environment with some hazardous fumes and smokes. So these are the characteristics. Like we can see that lead and cadmium is present in some batteries and some circuit boards. Like this lead oxide and cadmium is in the monitor of the cathode ray tube televisions. Mercury in the switches and flat screen monitor. PCB in older capacitors and transformers. Like brominated flame retardants on printed circuit boards. They are burning the plastic casing, cables, and PVC cables used for insulation and causing heavy damage to the environment with hazardous fumes and many smokes. So when we talk about the generation of electronic waste in India, so in India, among top 10 cities are there in which Mumbai ranked first in generating e-waste. So in among the top 10 city, Mumbai ranks first in generating e-waste. Then after Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, Pune, Surat, and Nagpur. So same in case of 10 largest e-waste generating states. In that also Maharashtra will ranked for first. Then some states like Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Delhi, Karnataka, Gujarat, MP, and Punjab. And an Indian market-based market research bureau surveys that e-waste generation at source in 2009. In the year 2009, the e-waste generation at source was found that the out of total e-waste volume in India, televisions and desktop including servers that will comprise 68% and 27% respectively. So most the e-waste will be in is like television and desktops including are the mostly generated e-waste, and this e-waste generation is like 68% and 27%. So the Indian Market Research Bureau will be like they will survey of the e-waste generation at a source. So in 2009, they have found that out of total e-waste volume in India, television and desktop will include servers that comprised 68% and 27% basically. Okay. Next, the scenario about this e-waste generation in India is like that. It is one of the largest waste importing countries in the world. It generated 35,000 metric tons of electronic waste every year and imports another 50,000 tons. More than 90% of the e-waste generated in the country, it will end up in the unorganized market for recycling and disposal. So, this is the fate of this e-waste in India. What happened, more than 90% of the waste is like those which is generated in this India is like it will be like due to the unorganized market and unauthorized dealing with this e-waste, because what people are doing, they are throwing out their old televisions and old desktop in the municipal waste. So by that what happened, this e-waste will enters again into the market, and then in this way 90% of the e-waste that is generated is end up because of this unorganized market for recycling and disposal. The organized sector will mainly consist of the urban slums of the metros and mini metros where the recycling operations are carried out. So this unorganized sectors are mainly the slum areas and some the in the metropolitan cities or many metro cities. So slum area are living there, they are doing the recycling operation, and that recycling is mainly done by some unskilled employees using the most rudimentary method to reduces the cost. So the laborers, those who are handling, are totally unskilled labor. They don't know about this side effect of these e-waste and the side effect of these toxic chemicals. So they are doing this on a smaller scale with some unskilled laborers, so that they will reduce as the methods to reduce the cost only. So in this way, the electronic generation waste generation in India is too much, and its handling and proper management is very poor, because this resell or rescaling will be done by some unskilled employees, so they don't have skill. So how to handle these e-waste? That's why too much dangerous regarding this type of e-waste will be there, and people are don't have aware about this toxic nature. Whatever toxic things are there, that will be connected with this e-waste. When we'll talk about the global market, it is estimated that more than 50 metric tons of e-waste is generated globally every year. So a report has given from the United Nations. They have predicted that by 2020, e-waste from old computers would jump to 400%, and 2007 levels in China and 500% in India. So additionally, e-waste from discarded mobile phone would be about 7 times higher than 2007. So the e-waste that will be generated from the discarded mobile phones it will be too much high when we compare it with the previous years, and it is going to be increased more than 18 times higher when we compare it with the last year data. China is already producing more about 2.3 billion tons of waste domestically, second only to the US with about 3 million tons. So after the US, this China is producing more than 2.3 million tons of e-waste domestically, and secondly only after the US with about 3 million tons. So such a prediction highlights that the urgent need to address the problem of e-waste in developing countries like India, where the collection and management of e-waste and the recycling process is yet to be properly regulated. So in this way, with this discussion, we'll get idea like it is an urgent need to address the problem of e-waste. It is a very urgent need to address the problem of e-waste in some developing countries like in India, where the collection and management of e-waste and the recycling process is yet to be properly managed and regulated. So the this way we can say that it will highlight the urgent need to address the problem of e-waste, because this e-waste problem must be cured and must be taken seriously, because its management and handling is much required. That's why the government has made this e-waste management and handling rules separately. They have not added it with the same municipal solid waste. So the collection and management of e-waste and then the recycling process is yet to be properly regulated. So when we talk about the environmental concern and health hazards, this e-waste will be like that when we talk about the scenario of India. So generation of e-waste in the year 2012, in this the India rank 8 lakh tons. India is ranking like 8 lakh tons in the year 2012. Annual growth rate of e-waste generation is 10%. 10% is total annual growth rate of e-waste, and it is highly complex to handle. This waste is very complex in nature, so it will be highly complex to handle also. Pollutants and their occurrence in the waste, electrical and electronics equipments. So environmental concern and health hazard related with the e-waste, like generation of e-waste in the year 2012 is like India is ranked in 8th rank in the tons, and the annual growth rate of e-waste generation is 10% only. The e-waste, this is highly complex to handle, and pollutants and their occurrence in waste and electronic equipment. So mostly the e-waste will comes from the electrical and electronic equipments only, and the annual growth rate of e-waste generation is like 10%. 10% of the e-waste is increasing on every year. Recycling electronics is an often challenging activity. This is because the e-scrap are typically sophisticated, and it will be manufactured from diverse elements such as metals, plastic and glasses. So this process will be often vary with the process, so that the steps that is followed for the e-waste recycling is like, first is the collection and transport. First is it will be required the collection of e-waste, and then its transportation to the material recovery site, to the recycling station, and whatever it is there. Next, what thing is there? Shredding and sorting of the e-waste. Shredding at one place and sorting of waste at one place. Then dust extraction, magnetic separation, water separation, then purification of waste stream, preparing recycled material for resale or again sell. Then at last, the recycled material is used for the sale and or the resale. So next, now we'll discuss about the e-waste management rules in India. So the MOEF will be there. MOEF and like Ministry of Forest and Environment, and then climate change. MOEF and climate change FCC have announced that the e-waste management handling rules in the year 2016. So this rule replaced the earlier e-waste rules of 2011. Before also, under the EP Act, Environment Protection Act, this e-waste rules has been made. So this e-waste rule will government has been given many provision regarding the proper management and handling of e-waste. So you can see that it will include CFL as well as other lamp with mercury and similar equipment. So CFL lamp will be there, compact fluorescent lamp. They will contain mercury. So this is also included under the e-waste. And the rule for the first time bring producer under the ambit of the extended producer responsibilities of EPR together with the targets. Producer have been made accountable for the e-waste collection and then e-waste exchange also. Additional stakeholders are there, and they are going to include the manufacturer, dealer, refurbisher and a producer responsibility organization. So compact fluorescent lamp or other mercury containing lamps has been brought under the preview of the rules. So this is the e-waste management rule from the MOEFCC, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So they have made some provision and they have added some more waste into this category, because the stakeholder like those who are the manufacturer, dealer or refurbisher has the responsibility to manage the e-waste at the has been at the e-waste collection site or e-waste exchange site also. And the compact fluorescent lamp will be there, that is CFL lamp. So that will also add with this e-waste, and this will contain toxic metal like mercury and some similar equipment. Those who are containing some mercury or something will be there. All are included under this e-waste management handling rules. E-waste recycling process should be balanced between the disassembly, mechanical separation of complex material and metallurgical treatment. So first stage is like manual segregation of the components, where different part of e-waste are separated. Obviously, first stage is the manual stage, where manually segregation has to complete and different part of e-waste are separated. Second stage are the mechanical separation process will be applied. So in this process, the ferrous, aluminum, plastic and non-ferrous materials are initially separated. Third stage is the plastic are then recycled by plastic recycling process. Then it will be further process the plastics. Fourth stage will involve all the non-ferrous metals are sent to metallurgical treatment plant, where the non-ferrous metals are separated into the constituents metal. So the non-ferrous metals are sent to metallurgical treatment plant, where the non-ferrous metals are separated and then constituted with some other metals. So pollutants, this is the example of some of the pollutants that is present in the e-waste. First is the arsenic. Arsenic is present in semiconductors, diode, microwave, some LED lights or solar cell. Barium is there in electron tubes, filler for plastic and rubbers, lubricant additives. Cadmium in the batteries, pigments, solders, alloy, circuit boards, computer batteries. Mercury in the is the components in the copper machines, steam irons, batteries in clock and pocket calculators, which is the LCD. Nickels is like alloys, batteries, relay semiconductors, pigments, etc. PCB are like it is from the transformer, capacitor, some softening agent for paint, glue, plastic. So from these are the different sources from these toxic chemicals are there. Next, we will discuss about the different treatment and disposal method for this e-waste. So because of the complex composition of valuable and hazardous substances, specialized, often high-tech methods are required to process e-waste in ways that maximize resource recovery and minimize potential harm to humans or the environment. So this will be a complex composition of valuable and hazardous substances. This will be often realize some high-tech methods which requires to process e-waste in ways that is going to maximize resource recovery and minimize the potential harm to humans or the environment. So first is the landfilling method. So in this methods, for this landfills, the trenches which are made to keep this e-waste is like it will be made by flat surface by removing soil from the trenches, and waste material is buried in it, which is covered by thick layer of soil. Then this will be covered by the thick layer of soil. The degradation process in landfills are very complicated and run over a wide time span and can be many years, vary with many years. So this is like the degradation process in landfill is very complicated for this e-waste, and it will run over a wide time span. It will long lasting up to many years, and the time span and it can be of many years also. Next method is the incineration method. So in this incineration method, it is a controlled and complete combustion process. So waste material is burned in a specially designed incinerator at a very high temperature of 900 to 1000 degrees Celsius. Advantage of incinerator of e-waste is the reduction of waste volume and the utilization of energy content of combustible materials. So in this incineration methods, environmentally hazardous organic substances are converted to some less hazardous compounds. So this is the main thing in this incinerator. Mostly more dangerous compounds, most hazardous organic substances are converted to the less hazardous organic substances. Next is the recycling of e-waste. So some fridge, washing machine, TV, monitors and CRT tubes, keyboards, laptops, modem, telephone, hard drive, floppy disk, compact disk, mobiles, flex machine, printer, CPU, memory chips, connecting wires, cables, it can be recycled. And recycle will involve like dismantling, like removal of different parts of e-waste that contains dangerous substance like PCB, mercury, separation of plastic, removal of CRT, segregation of ferrous and non-ferrous metals, and printed circuit boards. So these things we will do recycling. Like some of the fridge, washing machine, all these things are there, they can be recycled. And next, recycling means like removal of different part of e-waste that contain dangerous substance, and then segregation of ferrous and non-ferrous metal and from a printed circuit board. Then next method is the reuse. Reuse will constitute direct second-hand use or use after slight modification to the original functioning equipments. It is commonly used for electronic equipments like computers, cell phone, some inkjet cartridges, and also used for refilling. Old working computers can be donated to schools and organizations working in the field of education. Computers beyond repairs can be returned back to the manufacturers. So old working computers are there that can be donated to schools or organization. They are working in the field of education, and computers beyond repairs can be returned back to the manufacturer. So in this way, we can go for reusing of this e-waste. Like it will constitute direct second-hand use or use after slight modification to the original functioning of equipment. Directly you can give it for the second-hand use of your product, or we can do some slight modification into the things so that any person can utilize it again. So commonly used for electronic equipments like computers, cell phones, inkjet cartridges are also used after the refilling. Old working computers can be donated to schools or organizations working in the field of education. Computers beyond repairs can be returned back to the manufacturers. So this is about the Basel Convention. This Basel Convention is there, that has been made a convention on the control of transboundary movement of hazardous waste and its disposal in the year 1989. Conference of Parties of Basel Agreement is there 2006. They are regulating the e-waste movement. E-waste export to the developing countries is governed by some brute global economics, low enforcement of environmental and occupational regulation, low labor cost. These are the point that has been keep in for the point of consideration for the Basel Convention. So in this Basel Convention, what happened? Some meeting will be held to undertook to eliminate two toxic chemical groups like dicofol and perfluorotectonic acids plus some related compounds. Then later they have been used in a wide variety of industrial and domestic application, including non-stick cookware and food processing equipments, as well as carpets, papers and paints. Then later it has been widely used in a wide variety of industrial and domestic application. which is including non-stick cookwares and some food processing equipments like some carpets, papers, and paints. Conclusion. So now at this point, I'm ending this lecture. Like what we conclude from this lecture is like that the e-waste recycling is a serious global concern for a lot of reasons. It has a strong bearing and our immediate environment as human and life on earth generally. It even promises significant economic return for the person, communities, and even nation also. In developing nation, entrepreneurs are taking advantage of e-recycling as a steady revenue streams and advancing the environmental goals. Although the steps involved might be a labor intensive, they are easy to follow from collecting and separating to preparation for sale. There are several steps involved which you can easily flow with it. So, this is like this e-waste management recycling is a serious global concern and it has to be a strong bearing on an immediate environment and human and life on the earth generally. It even promises some significant economic return also, so that this should be practiced and this should be done for this e-waste recycling. So now I am concluding this lecture. Thank you for today's lecture.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.